My friends, good news! I have secured the script to Episode 9, Duel of the Fates. Thank you all for your support in subscribing to this channel that makes these kinds of scoops possible, but if you are not subscribed, I would ask you to please do so. Also, please check that you are still subscribed. Believe it or not, people do get unsubscribed every single day. Thank you for your support, and enjoy this first installment of my review of Episode 9, Duel of the Fates. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and today I am here to tell you that I have read Star Wars 9, Duel of the Fates. That's right. I have actually gotten access to the script itself, and I have read this script, and I have to say, damn you, Lucasfilm! Damn you, Kathleen Kennedy! I cannot believe that you would have passed on this script for the dreck that JJ Abrams wrote. It is insanity, madness, that you would go ahead and skip over this script by Colin Trevorrow in favor of that video game assembly of MacGuffins that JJ Abrams crapped out, of a cinematic antichrist posterior of evil. I can tell you that the script largely makes sense. It is not perfect. It is still having to deal with the fact that Luke is dead and all the horrible things that Ruin Johnson, in his infinite stupidity, inflicted upon the Star Wars franchise. But I can tell you that beat for beat, this script is better. This script does not have Palpatine in it except as a hologram occasionally. This script actually turns Rose Tico into not at all a bad character. I even liked BB-8 in this script, for God's sake. Can you believe it? There is a lot to love here. And so in this series of videos, I am going to give detailed breakdowns of what is in this script, along with pertinent scenes and lines enacted by yours truly. And then I am going to give analysis finally of the overall plot, what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are. I am going to give you a very, very thorough accounting of Star Wars 9, Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates is a particularly apt title for this film because at its heart is a theme of duality, a theme we'll return to repeatedly in this script, which seems to be written with a nod towards returning the Force to its mystical roots as George Lucas originally conceived them, mirroring the Eastern ideas of Tao and balance in the manifestations of Rey and Kylo Ren, both of whom are better written here than they have ever been written before. This script is probably the best written of the Disney sequel trilogy. Its pace is excellent. It's filled with the little character moments that made the original trilogy great. And while it is no doubt burdened with incorporating all the garbage that came before in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I feel that Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow did an outstanding job of reconciling the garbage and finding a few nuggets of gold buried beneath, which is no doubt the reason why Kathleen Kennedy got rid of Colin as director. Her narrow-minded, propagandistic view of Star Wars as a vehicle for gender warfare, the Force being female and all that trash, really is antithetical to this script, which finally pays Rey the respect that is her due, treating her less like the bestest ever and more like a human being with vulnerabilities and flaws. It really infuriates me reading this script, thinking of what could have been in this film. Likewise, wonder of wonders, Rose Tico also receives a major upgrade in this film, turning her from an annoying butterball of bungling baloney into a credible and useful operative, infiltrating, sabotaging, an engaged spy and a useful member of the team. Yes, I said team. One of the great strengths of Colin and Derek's script is how it treats the characters, all the characters, stripped of Kennedy's sexual politics wherein Rey is the bestest ever, and everyone else in her orbit is nothing but a glittery ornament merely meant to reflect her glory. Everyone in this script works together, just as Luke, Han, and Leia did. Poe is the dashing adventurer he was always meant to be, flashy with an ego writing checks his ass can't cash. Finn has some really memorable moments, and hell, I even kind of liked BB-8. Having a bunch of well-developed male characters contributing as much to the story as the amazing Wonder Ray clearly wasn't in Kathleen Kennedy's agenda. And so she killed the script you're about to see, which is more the pity for Star Wars fans. I suppose if this script had been produced, it would have been glaringly obvious to all of us how wretched in comparison JJ Abrams and Ruan Johnson really are. So I imagine there was a vast array of Hollywood forces opposed to this script ever seeing the light of day. Tough luck, Hollywood. Thanks to some unknown Bothan spy, the script has been leaked, and I have read it, and in this series of videos I will be giving my in-depth analysis and review of Episode 9, Duel of the Fates. The film opens at the First Order station on the planet Kuat. This base is peculiar in that it has components on Kuat's surface as well as in space above the planet, where an orbital ring serves as a First Order space dock. Arrayed around this ring, quote, like spikes on a punk bracelet, as the script describes it, is a newly commissioned fleet of Star Destroyers, and both parts of the base are connected by a shaft beaming energy from the planet up to the station. On the orbital ring base, BB-8 with a First Order black paint job has managed to infiltrate the base. Meanwhile, Rose Tico, described as, quote, adventure-worn and battle-ready, unquote, is communicating with BB-8 from the surface, awaiting the arrival of a shuttle of refugee workers recruited by the First Order. The shuttle lands, and alongside the ragged bunch of refugees, Poe and Finn disembark, attempting to sneak onto the base. They are in rags and armed. As they near the security checkpoint, BB-8 manages to hack and disable the security station from the ring station above so that Finn and Poe can enter without their weapons being detected. Behind them, observing them closely, a hooded Tusken also clears security and tails them intently. Folks, as you know, when it comes to pop culture, Doomcock doesn't lie. Some of you may be skeptical, but I'm telling you, the sequence is sharply written. It held my interest, it made sense, all the characters work together and behave as they should. This is a pretty damn good opening sequence in a, so far, fairly well-written script. Indeed, a close reading of even the descriptions of action between the dialogue bits will yield little gems of wonder to the alert reader. Consider, Poe and Finn make their way into the Kuat workers' colony looking for their contact Biskova, a furry little alien guy who's working with them. They meet up, and when Bis leads them back to his hut, we get the following description of his home in the script. Quote, a big-cheeked, hairless alien baby bounces in a hanging sea cow stomach. Ouch! Take that, Ruan Johnson, you feckless blackguard! In a stinging rebuke to The Last Jedi, Trevorrow takes that damn sea manatee from Ahch-To, the one that Luke milked and or molested, gee, I hope it was a girl, and skins the damn thing using its stomach as a hammock. Oh, well, you gotta love a script where the writer is so much on our side, he even sticks things like this inside a description he never thought anyone outside the production would read. Thank you, Derek and Colin. One of us. One of us. But I digress. Here, Rose Tico briefs Poe and Finn on the plan. The power shaft leading from the surface of Kuat to the orbital ring base carries raw ore up to the station. A detonation directly into the energy stream will cause a chain reaction that will take the entire station down, along with the fleet of newly commissioned Star Destroyers. With BB-8 up on the station ready to evacuate as soon as they insert the grenades into the power shaft, Poe, Finn, and Rose make their way to the power shaft, grenades in hand. The trio, functioning again as an actual team, takes out the mech trooper guards and they enter the power shaft base. They toss in the grenades, but as soon as they do, they're busted. Surrounded by stormtroopers and mech troopers, they anticipate the explosion above, which they hope will serve as a diversion so they can counterattack and escape. But that explosion never comes. Up on the base, Admiral Vaughn observes with satisfaction as the explosions detonate harmlessly in the beam due to some shielding in place. So it looks bad for our band of heroes, and the hooded Tusken that has been tailing them since they arrived steps up and strikes down the First Order troops with a dual lightsaber, revealing herself to be Rey in what would have been a pretty good little action sequence. Compare and contrast, Dominions and Dumentites, the idiotic action sequence where Poe says, "They fly now? They fly now?" as Rey completely forgets how to be the bestest Jedi ever and fails to use her force powers to destroy 4 lousy stormtroopers, 2 of whom are flying around like skeet in a chute. Compare that silly-ass nonsense we actually got in Rise of Skywalker with this scene where at least Rey actually behaves like the Force user we've always been told she is, being a badass instead of just being talked about as a badass. This is the level of writing we've been missing from Disney Star Wars. This would have actually achieved their aim of showing that Rey is skilled, as opposed to just having everyone else say she is. The Mikey Spock syndrome. I like the fact in this script that Rey's weapon is described as a dual lightsaber that she crafted from the remains of Anakin's lightsaber and her own staff. In other words, instead of going through the whole trilogy with plot armor wielding stolen glory from Luke, Rey actually does something for herself and acquits herself with honor and skill befitting, if not a Jedi, then a skilled Force user. But apparently, since Poe and Finn are not useless appendages riding on Rey's coattails, this wasn't bestest ever enough for Kathleen Kennedy. Apparently, Colin Trevorrow got fired for the unpardonable sin of actually being good. But let's continue. Rey can throw this double lightsaber like a boomerang, according to the script, and she quickly decimates the First Order troops with it. The poor oppressed migrant workers witness this daring feat and begin whispering, "Jedi, Jedi." More stormtroopers charge into the square, but the migrants rise up and block their path to protect Rey. They pick up their tools and their farming implements prepared to fight, and the revolution is in the air. But alas, more troops and TIE fighters are on their way, and in a questionable scene, at Poe's urging, Rey flees with the rest of them, looking to get off-world and leaving everyone else behind. I suppose you could say that Rey is abandoning these people to get slaughtered, or you could argue that if she stayed and actually fought, many of them would be massacred in the battle, that there are no good choices. Either way, I think Colin Trevorrow would have needed to be very careful how he shot this scene, because it could very easily seem like Rey and company were running away and abandoning these people to die. At least, to her credit, Rey is upset by this decision and expresses this later in the script, but even so, it's a potentially tricky moment on a par with Rose Tico freeing the space horsies, but leaving the kids behind in slavery. So at this point, their cover blown, they need an alternate way off Kuat, and it occurs to Poe to steal one of the new Star Destroyers. And so, they manage to go up the space elevator to the ring station, slip onto the Eclipse Star Destroyer, which is largely deserted, conveniently, because everyone except the bridge crew is away on leave. And in a fairly amusing sequence, Poe, who claims earlier that he can fly anything, has a hell of a time controlling the ship because the control yoke is inverted. So he's pulling up towards open space, but the Star Destroyer is tilting down towards the planet's surface. Rey shouts, "Poe, the black empty part is where you should be pointed." I'm trying, everything's backwards," Poe shouts as Finn mutters sarcastically, "I can fly anything." As a gamer, I had to laugh at this sequence because I know how maddening it is to get a game where the controls are inverted to what you're used to. It really, really sucks, and I have to go in and reconfigure the controls, or I can't play. It's that simple. That said, this sequence is, well, it's pretty dumb. But it's a fun kind of dumb. See, there are two kinds of dumb in these films. The space horsey on the outside of the Star Destroyer kind of dumb, which is just appalling and annoying without a shred of spontaneous joy or credibility in it. Or this kind of sequence where it's completely improbable and yet enough fun to watch that you just kind of shake your head, laugh, and move on. It's like in Speed, when the bus jumps the gap in the highway. You know that is BS. It would never happen in a million years. It is physically impossible. But the rest of the movie is so good you just kind of roll your eyes and shut your mouth and move on. A ship as big as a Star Destroyer, even on base, is not going to ever just have a handful of people on it. Never. Star Destroyers have huge crews, not just for shits and grins, but for practicality. A big ship takes a lot of people to run and to maintain. So while yes, a huge majority of the crew might be away on leave at a starbase, there would still be a few hundred or thousand at minimum maintaining and monitoring systems, and there would certainly be tons of security to prevent just this kind of shenanigans. True, there are a few troops guarding the thing, but Rey gets rid of them easily using the Jedi mind trick, so it's just token resistance, and the theft of the Star Destroyer literally takes no more than 5 pages. It's kind of cringe when you think about it, but like many good popcorn movies, it moves quickly enough and has enough amusing bits to keep you not thinking too much about this in the moment. Granted, my poor brain and my aesthetic sensibilities have been battered and bruised by the horrors of the Disney sequel trilogy, so I'm a bit punch drunk at this point and I'm being fairly forgiving here. But in my own defense, for I do realize this is stupid, I'm actually enjoying the character interaction in the script, which always, in any film, helps buffer bad plot points. You can judge for yourself if this would have worked or not if filmed. I guess we'll sadly never know. But for my part, I think it might have worked sufficiently if shot very, very carefully. But yes, it's really pretty silly. As it is the idea that Poe could maneuver this thing and fly it with a control stick. This whole Star Destroyer, he can fly with a joystick. I mean, what the hell is the point of all the other bridge personnel? I mean, this thing is huge. Hell, you know, you can maneuver a cruise yacht from dock. I mean, I've seen this on below decks many times with a joystick, but very cautiously and with people all over the ship like shouting out, you know, clearances and, you know, distances to other vessels and I mean, it's not that easy. On a yacht, maybe you could do it. On a Star Destroyer, as huge as that, you're gonna have a joystick controlling it? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, so Admiral Vaughn aboard the ring station realizes what's happening. The base fires on them, but they've managed to get the shields up, and getting his stuff together, Poe uses his joystick to maneuver them to safety, and they jump out of the system. Meanwhile, a vessel described as looking like an arrowhead with adjustable wings lands on the Kuat orbital platform. This ship is named Knife 6, and from it emerge the Knights of Ren. Not the sad cannon foddery dorks we've always known, but the badasses we always hoped they could be. Admiral Vaughn stammers, "We uploaded a Veil cipher to the droid. You'll have a location the moment a probe is within range." Not good enough. Hataska Ren slices Admiral Vaughn in half, and Knife 6 takes off in pursuit of the stolen Eclipse Star Destroyer. Tune in next time, very soon in fact, for the next installment of my review and analysis of Episode 9, Duel of the Fates, the discarded script leaked by agents unknown. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.